G'day and welcome to Two Beards, a podcast and Wrexham AFC. Coming at you from Australia down under. Adrian, my host, and I'm Rousey. How you guys going today? Adrian, mate?
Yeah,
what's
mate.
going
on? Yeah, fucking shit week. That
Fucking
loss,
nightmare of a week, mate. Nightmare of a week.
nightmare of a week, and I think it's so funny. Long-time fans say, it's never dull being a Wrexham fan, and even when you're losing, it's never dull. Even when you're winning, it's never dull. We won last week against Grimsby, and everyone was on a high, but also there were still people who weren't happy. And now we're in that thing of, well, okay, if they weren't happy with the win, now we're not even more unhappy now that we've lost. So it's just interesting to see kind of the discourse that's happening on all social medias right now.
Oh, yes. We will definitely get into that on today's episode. Today's episode will be talking a fair bit about that game at Stockport. We're also going to talk about our women because they just had a win against Pontypridd United, and we will also discuss the Crewe game coming up this weekend, which turns out it's going to be another danger game. So if you want to subscribe to the best Wrexham content on YouTube, I had to say it, fucking hell. Anyway, we are the best Wrexham content. If you want,
if we didn't start a war with other pods, like I was just saying before how I'm like, you know what, we're really lucky because we're friends with everyone, and then he's just like, right, we're the best, fuck everyone. But you're right, you've got to sell yourself.
Okay, I'm going to say this: we're the most unique Wrexham content on the internet. And if you want to help us out, please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube or on Podbean or wherever you're listening to us from. Please help us get the word out. It does actually help us. Our mission in life is to grow the Wrexham fan base, and that's the whole reason why we do what we do.
Exactly.
So we have a website, twobeardsmedia.com.au. We have a Patron program, which gives you discounts off our merch store, access to private Discord, shout outs and giveaways. You name it. $5 a month. Get on it. So there's a housekeeping out of the way. So if you're listening to this and you're not subscribed, what are you doing?
No, well, for that, we thank you. We thank you, Will, Chris, John, and our mate Aaron. So, what I'm pretty proud of is the fact that we have this group. We have a group of people who are supporting us, but getting around it. It's a bit of fun in the Discord. We have that private Discord for our coin term fuckheads. And honestly, it's a bit of fun, and I think we've really enjoyed the last couple of games, regardless when we're losing. It's never a dull moment, so I do appreciate it.
That's right. Okay, so let's have a bit of a discussion around our lovely Wrexham women after this. All right, so we're starting on a positive note. Our women are doing amazing at the moment. Since we last spoke about them, they have obviously they drew with Swansea City, which is just phenomenal.
Huge.
And then they go and pull out a 3-0 win, clean sheet, baby. Oh, that's juicy. I love it.
It was so good. Like, I think, look, before we even get to the win, that draw meant a lot more than what a lot of people are giving credit for. I think, Swansea have been in that system for however long, and Wrexham never been at that point. So we made a big step into obviously this league, and all of a sudden, 3-3 could have even been a win. Was massive. We're scoring. Yeah, okay, we conceded 3 as well, but we're scoring. And that interview with Rosie Hughes at the end, of that game, where they basically just said, how are you feeling? And she was buzzing. She was just proud of the girls. It was as if we had won. And I know that, sometimes people look at that as a negative thing, you drew, don't be too excited. Well, no, this is a huge step for the women's team, the women's game in North Wales. And honestly, they made a statement, and all of a sudden they bounced back the next week and put on an absolute clinic, 3-0. And honestly, I couldn't be prouder of the girls. What they're doing together is something that I think we might see similar of last year, where they are, putting in that effort, putting it in. I'm not saying they'll dominate, but
this Swansea, almost like a Swansea, almost I see it being a little rivalry this season, because I mean, obviously they came out first game, they drew, and then obviously we just completely pantsed Pontypridd, and they, I mean, God knows where I will be paying attention to the next game, but I think it will, by the looks of everything, it could possibly be just a Swansea and Wrexham season for the women, which will be bloody interesting. So bring it on.
I mean, there's also Cardiff as well, so we can't forget that either. So I think there'll be those all of a sudden it's just Welsh fight to the death. So right. I think it'll be interesting. But no, look, we have these players. I know everyone talks about Rosie, but you've got these people. You got Lily, you got I'm calling people by first names like a gnome, but you've got a list of people who can put in the shift. They're now becoming semi-professional. Well, they are semi-professional, and they're getting paid contracts. It's like any work incentive. If you're not getting paid and you're having to put in 110% effort like they did last year. Now imagine what they're doing when they're getting the money, they're getting the funding. They can, go probably part-time. Some of them, I think half of them are about studying, to be honest. So for them to do that and
it's quite clear those women, they do it tough, and it's to be seriously respected. These women are not women that will take life lying down. They go head on into it, and they take every challenge on, and it's inspiring to see. Absolutely fucking love it. So
me too, mate. Well said. I think more power to it. And I think if you're from North Wales, it must be just the most buzzing time to be a young kid growing up in North Wales now. Like, we talk to people, and we've had guests on the show talk about it many a time. It was hard growing up in North Wales. It was harder growing up in Wrexham, and it's hard being a part of that. But I feel like if you're a kid now, this is it's almost like the golden era of being a kid, because if you're a girl, you're a boy, it doesn't matter. You are literally watching two teams do something that the predecessors haven't. It's just new feats. I know that, the Wrexham men have been in the league before, but this is a whole new ball game. This is more money. There's more funding. There's more hope. And I think for the women, it's just as much hope. And seeing the girls do that, and have Millie talk about it as well. Like, Millie goes to every game, obviously, as the men's, but she also goes to every women's game. So to have it, someone like Millie, aspiring to be, they're her role models, right? They're people she wants to be like. And if I'm a girl growing up in Wrexham or a guy growing up in Wrexham, doesn't matter. You've got your idols, and they're right around the corner, which is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So women going from strength to strength at the moment, kicking ass, doing well, and we're completely 100% behind them. At some point in the near future, I hope to get some of the women's team or maybe even Gemma Owen on the pod. I know we've been in discussions before, but it's just about making it all fit, which can be a little bit hard scheduling, but we'll get there.
It's like the trade. It's like the trade period, or the transfer window, because way we look at it is we put our cards on the table, and we're like, right, we would love to have you here. and it's about offering not money. It's just about offering the right time zone. I think. I think that's the biggest thing.
That's
Like,
right.
it's like, what can you do that we can match? And a lot of people have been accommodating. And actually, to be honest, I don't think we've had one person who hasn't been accommodating, and that's just a testament to Wrexham people in general.
Exactly. Right. After this, we are going to rip the Band-Aid off and talk about
I don't
those
wanna.
men.
I don't wanna. I don't wanna.
Oh dear. The internet is buzzed. The couch coaches have come alive. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's going nuts about what happened at Stockport. But you know what? It could be worse. It could be Sheffield United. So stop
He
your
had to put that
whinging.
jab in.
Trust in Parky. We will get there. But anyway, we're going to touch base on this game, Stockport. Geez, I tell you what,
I
that
don't even know where to
day
begin
was
with it,
just
to
a
be honest.
comedy of errors. It's everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Even in our own little personal lives, shit was falling apart. Damn it! Like, holy crap! Like, it was just going nuts. But what can I say? I mean, Jesus, that was
You
rough.
know what?
It was
It was
rough.
rough. It was rough, and that is the only way to put it. It was rough. It's really, I think what hurt the most was there was one change to that pretty damn good lineup from the week before that basically outplayed Grimsby off the park. And that one change, I'm not saying that's altered it at all. I think it's almost identical. The squad, the lineup, sorry, that we had, it's almost identical in what we were doing. And for us to then, concede 5, it just hurts, and it's nothing. And I'm going to straight out come out and say it now. Of course, there were a couple there that Chomp, Mark Howard maybe could have got to, but that wasn't all of them, and it was all to do with the defense of. And I'm going to start naming names. I hate naming names to be like listed off, but Tozer was off, Boyle was off, Hayden. I don't know. He just was. He was trying his best, but he was off as well.
I mean, I was looking at those games or the review of that games. By the way, shout out Mark Griffiths for shouting out our pod. That's really nice of you. And you made my mum's night, so yay! Really good. Huge
probably made my night even more. I reckon. I squealed like a little schoolgirl. It was pretty exciting. So
yeah, that was the highlight of my night, and it was all downhill after that.
It was all downhill. Like, honestly, I think it peaked then. Game kicked off, and it just turned to shit. So, but look, can I ask you? And I'm gonna put this on you on the spot. We talk. I'm listing off players like Tozer didn't have he cost us a really easy one there. And probably could have helped out a couple of times. Walked him in. Boyle was off. McLean was off. Barnett fucking nowhere to be seen. Young honestly put in a shift. He tried his ass off, but doesn't translate to having a good game though. Unfortunately, everyone was off. Mullen didn't get a touch. Dolby just has no fight in him at the moment, and I don't know what the hell's wrong with him, but something's off because he's not got that killer instinct to finish the damn ball. But I digress. Who do you think? Okay, maybe don't list one player, but list a couple that you think maybe the 3 that need work, need to be benched, need to be swapped. What if you could change 3 people? Who would you be taking off, basically?
Jeez.
From that performance, though, I'm just singling out this Stockport game.
If I was to be really brutal, I would say Tozer and Dolby need to have some time on the sidelines.
Yeah, agreed.
And look, Tozer's played every minute of every game all last season, all this season. I think maybe he needs a rest, but he seemed well off. I mean, we will miss his long throws because they're a set piece in itself, and
I don't remember the last time we scored from one. That's the problem, isn't it? I don't remember the last time.
I get that's why we have Tozer in the team. I know he brings plenty of other things to the table as well. But Tozer and Dolby have been very, very flat, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But just from what
No.
I'm seeing, I just think Dolby, Tozer, and even to some extent now, Tom O'Connor probably needs to come off and shift. I don't understand why he decided to do a Dolby Mullen start.
I
That
think it was
really
to do
didn't
with
make sense.
Palmer's injury, but then I also
But
think
you
it's
could have
because
had Fletcher on.
but you couldn't. From what I understand, I'm being a couch coach here, so please disregard if I'm completely wrong here. But from what I know, Fletcher is not match fit to do a full 90 at this point in time, and was brought in to be almost the super sub, and obviously play when he can get match fit.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna say there seemed to be something in the water about Saturday night, right from the very get-go. When all of our fans got there, we had our drummer there. He posted up on Twitter his story that he tried to get in, and they wouldn't allow him in the stand with his drums and his metal sticks because they apparently could be used as weapons. And even though the Stockport fans had, their metal sticks and two drummers in two different stands, so there's that. Then there was the issue of that we only were allowed to bring, it was less than 1,000 fans. We didn't even get a spot behind the goal. We were tucked off to the side in the corner. I sort of understand the tactics around behind doing that, but it's a real fucking shame. Especially when there's loads of Wrexham fans that want to go to these games. And and then it just, with the side coming together, it just seemed really off, flat. There was no team cohesion. The passing was sloppy. I mean, we watched passes go right over McLean's head, just straight out of bounds. No hope of him getting on those whatsoever.
Yeah,
He
just had no touch either.
Seemed like there was something in the water that day, and we'll just put it down. And I know I've said this plenty of times. It's Halifax all over again.
Yeah,
and we'll bounce back next week.
In saying that, like, I think someone brought, that's been brought up obviously by yourself, and I think other games have been brought up from last season where we did lose, because we did lose games. But I think it's the fact that we copped 5 and didn't put any. We had no other than maybe a couple of Elliot Lee shots that would just hit the bar or a bit unlucky. We had no real threat going forward, and the statistics showed all these chances or all these shots, and not one of them, on, like, half of them are on target, and then even then there just wasn't any aggression. What I will say, and it's so funny because I want to bring a lighthearted. We've been a bit flat about this, and I think it's very fair, and it's the first time we've had to be flat about it because the one loss we had before was MK Dons, and we still scored 3 even though they scored 5. But here's the lightheartedness behind it. We wore a different jersey on the weekend. We wore, for the first time in the EFL season, we wore the white kit. Last time we wore the white kit, we played Chelsea in a practice match in the preseason. Do you remember that score, Rousey?
5-0.
So my point is, I blame the shirt. Nothing to worry about. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Fucking don't worry about it. Next week, just blame the away shirt. Burn it with fire. We're playing with the red or black kit, and anyone else can suck it. If you've bought a white kit in just solidarity with everyone else, go outside, put it in a bin, and just light it on fire. Just do it. Just fucking go for it. Go nuts.
I mean, I thought we could at least blame the Tories, but
we could blame them. We can blame. Oh, you know what? I just want to blame it on the sunshine, blame it on the moonlight, blame it on the good times, blame it on the boogie. But
get your guitar out, mate. Yeah, let's go.
Let's
fucking sing.
No. Unfortunately, I can't bring it into a Stockport game. So no, but look, honestly, I'm trying to bring a lighthearted to it, but it is a serious thing, I think. And I love that we're taking this more seriously as well, because I have seen a lot of people kind of say, just shrug it off. It's fine. but it's not fine. It really isn't. And I love what you said, which is you're right. It is a blip in the radar, but it's a blip in the radar that we need to adjust for. And if we just say, oh, well, we'll just throw the same team out again, hoping for the same result, for a different result, that's just crazy. The fact that Parky didn't make a sub until what, the fucking 70th minute,
But that just
was
goes to
absolutely
show.
dumbfounded.
That just goes to show, though, like this was more a case of everything was off. Everything. Nothing on that day gelled whatsoever. Even right down to Parky, right down to the management, the players, staff, everyone. We all lose together, and sometimes those words can sort of be glossed over a little bit, like, oh yeah, no, it's just something to say. But no, I don't think there was a single thing about that game or that day that was Wrexham. That was not the Wrexham we've known. And it's such a huge juxtaposition on the previous week against Grimsby, who were another team that were doing okay. So yeah, we just chalk
it was
it
away
up.
from home. Yeah,
just chalk it up. It's a blip it's a learning curve. It's an experience. It's come early in the season. We're still in playoff contention. We're holding keen. We will get there. Just have a bit of faith. Have a bit of patience. It's still early days.
And I really appreciate that sentiment. I think that's such a good way to look at it too. I do understand the fan aggravation, or especially I guess the people who've, supported Wrexham their entire lives. Like, I get the sentiment behind it. It's like, if when we haven't lost like that since those dark days, do you know what I mean? So for us to do that, it is a bit of a flashback, and it's something you don't want, considering we were supposed to be turning over a new leaf and not putting up those scores. But like you said, these things happen. It does. The only difference is how we bounce back next week. If we bounce against Crewe next week and we don't put in a similar effort, then we need to panic. But if we can say it was a once-off, then fuck it. I don't care. I don't care if we win against Crewe and Parky goes, yeah, last week was just some weird night. No worries. I'll accept whatever excuse he wants. But if we come out and give anything like we gave against Stockport, against Crewe, I will call it how it is. We're in trouble if that happens.
Given the interviews with Parky and Luke Young after the game, they seemed very much like they don't know what caused this problem. And so it's kind of, it's kind of a case they're just going to have to go back, they're going to review, and then they'll get that fire in their bellies, because they won't want to be thumped 5-0 again. No team does. So
I don't think they'll want to lose again, to be honest. Yeah, shit.
but anyway, so look, we got Crewe up next. So after this, let's have a look at the Crewe game.
Sounds good.
All right. Crewe Alexander. Now, local derby. Let's go. Let's bounce back. Let's have a good, solid game. This is another danger game, but the month of October is, and obviously the latter of September is all danger games. We do not have an easy month ahead of us, so prepare yourselves for it could get a little bit patchy. Hopefully, I've got all the faith in our boys that we can pull through and bounce back, and that's what needed to happen. So, Crewe Alexander are also in a good position. They've had a few good results, and I was looking at their results, and they sit 6th on the ladder, currently 1 place above us.
And being the second highest scoring team in the league behind Swindon, which is danger, because if we're already conceding that many against sides who are on the lower end of that spectrum, we really need to tighten up that defense or make some changes.
Exactly. So we've got, we're looking at I'm just looking at some of their results here. They actually went 3-1 against MK Dons. They lost against Bradford, though. They drew against Swindon. Um, and the last game against Colchester, they got 2-1. So, and that obviously the previous week they drew against Wimbledon. So they're definitely a threat. They're a tough side, and but they're facing us at home, and we all know that the race course is fortress. So
Yeah, but
hopefully we can hold that.
Yeah, I think Fortress of the racecourse, yeah, for sure. I totally get that. We did obviously lose to MK Dons there early on. It was the first game, so there is a different story there. We are a little bit more settled. Well, wouldn't say settled, but I'd say we were a bit more adjusted to the league's standards and understand kind of where we need to be at. Coming up against Crewe again after however many years, I can't even remember now, but to come up against them, yeah, another rivalry game. It is at home though, so I feel like that helps a lot, especially if you concede. I think when we conceded that first one away, it just felt shit because you're like, shit, there's no well, I mean, the crowd were getting behind it, but even then it's hard when their second goal comes in, when you've got only 900 fans there in comparison to the rest, and you're getting drowned out because you're like, shit, we're down 2-0, I'm starting to panic. Whereas at least at the racecourse where we were, conceded a lot against Swindon even, and the crowd got them back in it, there is that element that could definitely help. But I think for me, it is exactly what you mentioned in the previous segment around the game, which is what swaps would you make? And yeah, for sure, I think if Palmer's fit and he was, yeah, bring him out now, start him again. Dolby can sit one out, and then when Palmer wants to come off, put on Fletcher. And if Mullen needs to come off, then you can bring on Dolby in the 80th.
I would replace Dolby completely with Bickerstaff.
Yeah, it'd be good to have him in. But
Tozer maybe with Evans if Evans is feeling fit, or
problem with Tozer is
O'Connell.
O'Connell would be the big swap. Yeah. I think, but in saying that, and if we're talking about the MK Dons game, O'Connell had a bit of a howler then, and kind of since then that seemed to be the perception of, okay, well, you need to work your way back in. But I agree, having O'Connell back, maybe just again light the fire in Tozer's belly. We've seen from even just the documentary where they had that little mini bust up with Paul Mullen and Tozer having a go at each other, and you could tell, he needs that fire, and I think Tozer thrives off that. And maybe, obviously being in a different situation, being, what was the captain, and now technically since Luke Young's been back is not needed to captain at all. So maybe losing that captaincy is maybe taking a hit to his confidence. I don't know what it is, but I think the best way to do it is what you said. Bring on someone like O'Connell, bring on Evans, whoever it needs to be.
There's plenty there that will step up and likely step up and want to try and hold their spot in the first 11. So,
would we have?
I'm predicting against Crewe. I think it's going to be close. I'm going to say 2-1 win to Wrexham.
Not bad at all. I'm going 2-2 draw. I think it'll be a high-scoring affair. It is a hard side, and I have a bad feeling we're going to concede early. But I think because we're at the racecourse, we'll get there. Again, I want to be wrong. I want to win, but I've taken a bit of a hit with that confidence of last week. If there's no real changes, if this is something we need to start worrying about, especially against these danger games, then I'm going to start to be a bit more reserved. So 2-2 for me. But no, look, what I was going to ask you was, we've got defenders who are either injured or I think just being rested, like Clareworth. Max has been out for, who was one of our first people on the team sheet. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe not first on the team sheet, but he was one of those people. Do you bring someone like him in and get him on that park as well?
If I was Parky, I would be seriously considering it. He might just chalk it up to a bad game and not make many changes like me. But I do think definitely Dolby and Tozer need to have some time on the bench. But Yeah, it's a tough one. Every time I think I know what Parky's going to do, he does something completely different and it ends up working. So in Parky, we trust. So you've got the 2-2 draw. I've got the 2-1 win. We'll see what happens. After this, we will wrap things up. So we have had a really good week. If you are listening to us on Spotify, Apple, and anywhere, or Podbean, anywhere you get your podcast from, I encourage you to head over to our YouTube channel. We have been doing review episodes of Welcome to Wrexham, which have been proving to be really popular, which is great to see. I just want to give a little shout out to Me, the Wife, and Wrexham, the podcast. They hit 1,000 subscribers,
It's insane.
which is an amazing achievement. They are in the money in YouTube terms, so to speak. Show me the money. So I'm just like, oh mate, that it can be more deserving. They are two of the nicest people I think I've ever come across, and
Me too.
fully support them. And watch this space, you may be seeing us really soon back on their podcast.
Who knows? Who
Who
knows? But I
knows?
think
Who
what
knows?
I want to reiterate that sentiment as well. Just they're just such good people. But I think what I love about the dynamic we've got as friends as well is it's not just a podcast when we're on each other's podcast is the only time we chat. We share the Two Beards account, obviously. So me and Chris will sometimes message, and then so we'll message, and we're like, "Oh God, they don't even know who's messaging." But then they do the same thing where you don't know if it's Ryan or Sean messaging. So it just makes me laugh. It's good friendship we've got and good banter. So I appreciate them, and again, congratulations on
Well
1,000.
deserved. Well deserved. So, but last week we had a really, really touching episode with Nicola, and as part of Aaron's army. Um, we will obviously be announcing closer to Friday because we've changed our schedule with releasing the podcast and the review episodes. So we'll be announcing on X on Friday what we've earned. But I can actually say our lovely fuckheads, what a bunch of fuckheads they are. Absolutely amazing. They have come together and we've raised so far 120 Australian dollars for Aaron's army and for brain tumor research. So amazing. We love our fuckheads. And if you want to come
Just
join
thank you.
us, $5 a month, it's all it'll cost you.
And like just understand that like the what we do here, there's always a cause we're going for when we do raise these funds. And if we're not and we're not doing those funds, anything that gets put away is literally put in what we call a kitty for our dream trip to Wrexham one day. And obviously it'll be a slow slug, but at the end of the day, we would rather, when something like Nicola's story comes up, we'd rather put that money to that than our own endeavor, because we want to put, like you said, Grousey said it last week, but we want to give back to what has given us so much, which is Wrexham and people of Wrexham. And Nicola's story was just incredible. And I don't know about you, man, but it was so much. It was. I know. I hate saying it because it was such a morbid topic, but it was fun. We had a great chat with her. We had a really good. I feel like we built a nice rapport, and just to hear her story in a positive light, and Aaron's story that is as well. It was just cool, and to hear about the coal walks and the classic line that you threw out of who was high when they decided that, and we it's one of those things where like, yeah, we can always, you can be on a podcast or whatever medium you're on and be a bit too serious. But I love that when we're lighthearted 99.9% of the time, but I love that other people embrace it as well. So again, great sport, Nicola, for being on the pod. Great sport, and but also amazing work. And I look forward to seeing how much we raise by Friday.
Exactly. So that brings us to the end of today's show. Hopefully we have a bigger weekend, and hit up the links in the description. Remember to donate to Aaron's Army and to help Nicola raise funds for brain tumor research. The links will also be in the description of this. We don't really have a music artist this week because we've just been too busy to try and get a hold of people, but that's okay. We will make sure.
And sorry, before we finish as well, I will say another thing. Rousey has started a new job as well. So massive congratulations to you, mate, on making that change and doing that. It can be one of those things that could be a bit daunting. So the fact he does that, he's also doing a podcast. He's also doing the review episodes, which is 2 episodes, by the way. We have to record 2. And he has kids and he has his parents that he's looking after as well. This man's a bit of a superhero, and I consider him a big brother. So look, I know that we might banter and we might disagree at times, or we might have, our own banters off air as well. But I just want to shout out to Chris as well. This doesn't happen without him. This pod doesn't happen. The community of the fuckheads doesn't happen. The guests that we get don't happen. I don't have that. I call it the salesmanship that Chris has, the niceties that he has, and I wish that I could be more like him in that regard. So well done, mate, and just kudos to you and everyone in the comments. Please give him a massive congratulations. He is doing such an epic job at the moment, and he's doing a new job. So
a hell of a schedule.
Congrats.
It is a hell of a schedule. YouTubing and podcasting isn't easy. I mean, I don't even have time for podcasting.
And he's editing. Anymore. And he's editing, guys. He's also editing.
Yeah, editing.
This guy is a superhero. So, we try to divide our time, but he does very well. So, well done, mate. Well
done. That's right. No time for the hub for me. But anyway, we will. That's fine. I love it because it brings. It brings a joy to our listeners. It makes them happy, makes them cheerful, lifts their spirits. So I'm just going to leave with this, right? Yes, we lost. So fucking what? We will bounce back. See you guys next week. Bye. Woo!